If you've ever wondered how on earth those vastly different fields could possibly connect, well, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this. So, to kick things off, our foundational text today is the Tafheem ul-Quran, which is Maulana Maududi's really expansive commentary. The specific section we're starting with sets the absolute perfect stage for redefining what it actually means to be successful. We live in a world that constantly feeds us this very specific picture of success, usually tied to bank accounts, cars, and social status. But this text, it challenges that completely head on and gives us a totally different framework. We've got a lot of ground to cover today. Here is our quick roadmap. We'll explore the context of this surah, the traits of believers, human creation, universal signs, the prophetic legacy, and we'll wrap it all up with one unified message. Starting right off with part 1, the context of Surah Al-Mu'minun. To really grasp what's going on here, we have to establish exactly when and why these verses dropped. The commentary notes this was revealed during the Middle Meccan period. Now, this wasn't some peaceful, quiet era. It was literally the climax of conflict. We're talking about a massive, intense tension between the wealthy, arrogant elites of the Quraysh, who held all the worldly power, and the early, heavily oppressed followers of this new, unifying message. It was a total pressure cooker of an environment where the very definition of winning in life was being fiercely contested. Which leads us perfectly into part 2, the traits of true believers. Against that intensely polarized, high-stakes historical backdrop, the text completely ignores the political noise. Instead, it just defines the ultimate winners. Maududi points out that the Arabic word falah doesn't mean a quick financial win or some temporary social dominance. Actually, it's defined as a permanent, holistic state of success. We're talking lasting prosperity and eternal well-being. The text essentially tells its original audience, and us right now, that the elites of Mecca might have all the gold, but they absolutely do not possess falah. So, how do you actually achieve this lasting falah? Well, the text objectively lays out these incredibly practical, actionable behavioral traits. It's not just theory. It ranges from deep internal humility and intense focus, known as khushu, to just entirely turning away from vain, useless talk, which is called lagwa. It involves strictly purifying wealth through zakat, fiercely guarding personal modesty, and faithfully keeping trusts and promises. It's basically a total lifestyle overhaul. It's not just about what's in your heart, it's about exactly how you operate out there in society. You can really see the stark contrast at play here. On one side, you have the historical problem, the massive arrogance of the Meccan elite, totally obsessed with worldly wealth and pride. And on the flip side, you have the proposed solution, a disciplined, humble believer characterized by modesty, integrity, and spiritual focus. The text is asking a really fundamental question. Which one of these actually represents a sustainable, truly successful human being? Okay, moving right along to part 3, the stages of human creation. Now, the text makes this absolutely fascinating pivot. To prove that a higher power actually has the authority to define what success is, the commentary meticulously breaks down the biological stages of human embryonic development. It goes from the nutfa, a mixed drop, to the alaka, a clinging clot, then to the mudka, which is a chewed-like lump. Then it talks about the formation of bones, and finally, those bones being clothed with flesh. The text uses this step-by-step biological reality as just undeniable proof of intelligent, deliberate design right inside the human body. Having so clearly established the micro-evidence, this undeniable miracle happening in the darkness of the womb, the text then poses a much broader philosophical question. How does this incredibly intimate biological creation connect to the vast, seemingly infinite universe spinning around us? To answer that, we look at part 4, Signs in the Universe. The text zooms all the way out from that microscopic development in the womb straight up into the cosmos. Take this powerful quote speaking of the 7 paths created above us. Maududi interprets this to highlight the incredibly complex, precise, layered systems governing the heavens. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that phrase, never unmindful. The Creator who meticulously formed the tiny embryo is equally attentive to massive celestial bodies. There's zero disconnect. It's all one grand, perfectly managed system. And then Maududi's commentary takes that massive cosmic concept and grounds it right back here on Earth. He points to the precise measure of rain in our subsoil water systems. He explains that this isn't just random weather happening by chance. It is a perfectly balanced life support mechanism carefully calculated for our exact needs. If this hydrological cycle were even slightly off, life as we know it would literally cease to exist. Notice how completely interconnected all these natural phenomena are. The perfectly measured rain leads directly to the growth of vital crops like date palms and vines. It sustains that famous olive tree of Mount Sinai, producing essential oil. It nourishes the livestock that give us milk and meat. These aren't just biology or meteorology fun facts. The commentary frames all of this as continuous evidence, completely surrounding us, demanding that we wake up and realize that true success, that falah we talked about earlier. Think about it. If the universe serves you so perfectly, shouldn't you live according to its creator's blueprint? Let's shift gears now into part 5, the legacy of the prophets. From the undeniable evidence found in nature, the text transitions smoothly right into human history. Using the narratives detailed in the commentary, we look at the epic story of Noah's Ark and the intense trials of Moses going up against Pharaoh. And it's important to remember, these aren't presented as isolated fairy tales or myths. They are hard historical case studies. The commentary objectively maps out this repeating, almost cyclical historical pattern. In every single era, a prophet brings the exact same message of humility, integrity, and singular worship. And what happens? In every era, they are met with the exact same arrogance and harsh denial by the ruling elites, the people who mistakenly think their cash and power equal true success. Maududi points out that the conflict those early believers were facing in Mecca, it was simply the latest chapter in an ancient, ongoing human story. The faces change, but the core struggle is identical. The text highlights the beautiful continuity of this history by mentioning Jesus, or Isa, and his mother Maryam as yet another profound sign. The commentary focuses on how they were provided with a place of rest and flowing springs. It really demonstrates that divine support is a constant thread for those who embody the traits of a true believer, completely regardless of what historical timeline they happen to be in. Which brings us to our final section, part 6, One Unified Message. This is really the ultimate culmination of the text's entire argument. Despite the vastly different eras, the varying historical contexts, and the entirely unique trials of all these prophets, from Noah to Moses to Jesus to Muhammad, the commentary insists they were all building one single unified community, an ummah. The religion at its absolute core has always been exactly the same. But the text also presents a pretty tragic reality check. While the prophets shared that one unified foundational message, later generations came along and splintered it. Humanity essentially took this singular, perfect blueprint for success and fractured it into competing sects. The commentary points out a really sad irony here. Today, each divided group rejoices only in what they have, completely losing the original unifying core message of humility, shared humanity, and collective success. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought derived directly from Maulana Maududi's commentary. We've seen how this text brilliantly connects the dots from the embryo in the womb to the rain falling from the sky to an unbroken chain of human history. So if the biological evidence of design is that clear, and the historical pattern of arrogance versus humility is that consistent, what defines your measure of true success? Are you chasing the fleeting wealth of the elites, or are you building the lasting falah of the believers? It is something truly profound to ponder on your own journey. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning and keep learning.